This is Tyler Lewis here with Phenom Hoops. We're honored today to have one of the best players that come through North Carolina, Gary Clark. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course, man. Of course. I'm glad you guys have me on.
No, thanks, man. We appreciate it. I mean, throughout your time growing up in North Carolina, what does North Carolina mean to you?
Uh, NC, I mean, pretty much everything. I was like, a lot of guys that grow up in NC don't really go back home because, we've lived and played in all these nice cities where, you can find comfort in those cities. But for me, North Carolina is like, it's home. My upbringing, from Clayton. It's just, I don't know. It's just the feeling my family and my friends and everyone gives me when I'm home, and the way they, I grew up. It's just an honor to always be able to go back and give back to the community and be around the people that kind of encourage me and push me to be where I am today.
And growing up in North Carolina, the hoop state, I mean, it's special. There's so much great talent growing up, and you played, and you're one of them, and you played against some of the best. And growing up in Clayton, like you're a lot of these kids look up to you. What are you trying to do to the next generation and just model like when they look up to you?
The biggest thing for me is, just give them the hope. I think back when I was a kid, I had no aspirations or, ever even had the thought of, being able to go to college, let alone get to where I am now in the NBA. So, college didn't become a reality for me until like, the end of my freshman year when I first got my first scholarship from UNCW. And then it kind of was like, you know what, man, I can go to school for free. Like that, I had nobody was telling me that thing. Like in eighth grade, seventh grade, nobody was telling me that. I was, you see guys playing at the next level and stuff like that. But as a young kid from Clayton, nobody was, pushing that towards me. Like, try to do as best you can in sports to try to get a scholarship. So, for me, for the younger generation, just give them hope that, there's an opportunity and there's a chance to really chase your dreams and, do the impossible. Because, from little old Clayton, nobody expects, a young guy like myself to be able to go to the levels that I've gone to play the game. So just pushing the next generation that, just don't accept anyone else's boundaries. Just kind of whatever you want to do, chase it, do your homework on it, and just, put the work in.
For sure. When did you kind of realize that you were going to become the player that you are today?
I probably honestly didn't realize it until my sophomore year in college. I had become like, I was playing well defensively. I was just kind of going through like, 'cause my freshman year in college, like Coach Cronin was like, you know, he is who he is. He was yelling, going crazy. Like I had never dealt with, that kind of coach. It's so intense that, it took me a whole year and a half to adjust to like just dealing with him on a daily basis. Like I started getting anxiety and all this stuff. So once I really like kind of put it behind me and just start trusting my ability, I got really dominant my sophomore year on both ends of the floor. And that's where it kind of hit me like, you know what, maybe I can get to the next level. And then I had a few injuries, like ankle injuries, like through the end of my sophomore year that kind of held me back for 2 years. The next 2 years, the junior year really, and then my senior year, I played hurt. So that's where, towards the end of my sophomore year is where I really felt like you know what, I could probably go to the next level.
Yep. And you had an outstanding career at Cincinnati. I used to hate playing against you guys.
Oh
So
yeah, no, the Bearcats. Nobody likes playing against the Bearcats.
no, for sure. And you talked about like kind of growing up in Clayton, just giving these kids dreams before. I mean, when you were at Clayton, I at Clayton High School, you had a quadruple double in a game, and kind of take me through that game because like that's unheard of.
I think it had to been the day or two after they released the McDonald's All American thing, and again, small Clayton. I'm not playing on a huge circuit AAU wise, and I'm not playing. Clayton, we're not playing national televised games, but like I'm pretty dominant going in my junior year. I think it was, or even my senior year. It was my senior year. And, at this point, I'm probably either one or two when it comes to the most dominant players in North Carolina at this point. I'll say one, and everybody knows how humble I am. Thinking back on the numbers I was doing and my team, we wasn't winning, national championship or a state championship or something, anything like that. But like, as far as like how dominant I was in my position and on the court, like, I think, I should have been either at least a nominee for the McDonald's All-American. And, I didn't get it, that I didn't get nominated or anything. And I was so frustrated about it that I knew I was gonna dominate the next game. It was against West Johnson, who we beat pretty badly every time we played them. But like, on top of the fans, they always heckle me at West Johnson because I went to middle school and elementary school with a lot of those guys that that were always in competitive sports against each other. So they were heckling me about personal things they knew about me and my past and my like us as kids and stuff like that. So I already had fuel from them knowing they were going to heckle me, on top of not getting nominated for the McDonald's thing. And I just I went out there and I just tried to dominate every asset of the game, from blocking shots to getting assists. It was probably midway through the game, I realized I probably had a triple-double in blocks, rebounds, and points. So then I was like, I asked one of our coaches, I was like, I might try to just stat every stat that I can. And at the end of the game, I realized that I had a quadruple-double, and it was crazy.
No, that is crazy. Who is that one person that helped you get to where you are? Who's kind of your role model in your life?
A lot of people ask me that. And I think it's been a blessing and a kind of a curse at the same time. But since I was so young, me and my mother, we've been really close. And I was like the man in the house at such a young age that, I kind of leaned on my own understanding a little bit to be able to be aware of, a lot of situations that at a young age that I wasn't sure that I was supposed to be aware of, to where when I got to the point of, making decisions on my career and my basketball in school, that I didn't have anybody to lean on. So, I didn't really have a mentor or somebody to go to for advice or help throughout my process. It was more so just, I think sheer will to just, change my family's lives. My mother's struggling as a single mother. I can't say I have my favorite basketball player is Melo, but outside of that, I couldn't tell you, or anybody can't. If anybody ever tells you or anybody else that they were like, they were my role model or anything, they would be lying, because I can't tell you who I can call on the phone right now that was with me throughout elementary or middle school or high school that like I called like, yo, I need advice on this, or hey, I need help with this, and I don't try to say that to boast or anything. I just say that like, because literally I think the blessing was I was able to mature and be aware of my situation early. The curse of it is that, I deal with so much on my own. And now at this level, I have so much other stuff that goes on that I sometimes don't handle my own mental and own things around me because of, me being able to deal with things on my own since I was a kid. So, I would say Melo is my best player. Like he drove me to, be the best player on the court. But other than that, it's not many people that I can say was a role model.
No, and I understand, and that's awesome. That's a testament to you that from an early age that you're able to rely on yourself in so many ways and get through tough times, adversity, and through all your success. It's truly an honor that you've been able to do that. If you could just explain what was your work ethic and what it takes to get where you are, like being an NBA player. Like I don't think people understand like how hard it is to play in college. And then all of a sudden you're playing in the NBA at the highest level possible. What does that daily work ethic consist of?
At first, it was like in high school, anybody would tell you that I had just pure talent and size over everyone. So it was easier to dominate. But when I got to college, it was it was totally switched. Mick Cronin was just, we press, we trap, we fly around. So in order to do that, you got to be in like tip top shape. So my kryptonite early on was my conditioning. Like I was never in like elite shape to be able to dominate the whole game on both ends because, I could take plays off in high school because, I was just better than everyone. But when I got to college, I was using my energy on defense and I was absolutely nothing on offense. And then when I got to my sophomore year, I was a little bit more in shape that I was able to dominate on both ends a lot more. And it was just like a grind of like the summertime. When they say in high school, they tell you, work when nobody's watching, or there's never enough, there's never enough time in the day to not work out or whatever. And it's true. Like I literally just started to live in the gym, like conditioning every day, all the time. It was just, everything was just always just like, I was trying to figure out a way to get better. Cause I knew like, I didn't want to get yelled at by Mick Cronin. I had been away from my family. Like I'm not about to waste all this time away from my family, 8.5 hours away to just be up here messing around and just like not focusing and not working on my craft. And, I just, found different ways to just, make myself more hungry, to chase, greatness at Cincinnati, at the level of Cincinnati was my first task, just focusing on, being dominant and being in shape, running, doing extra cardio. I was like the extra cardio guy. Like I hate cardio. I hate cardio to this day, but I know I have to do it more than anyone else. Like I'm not just a pure athlete like all these other guys, the wings and power forwards that can just run for days. Like I know I have to put extra time into it. So, just knowing that your weaknesses and just really attacking them.
And you kind of hit it. Just it takes a lot of growing up when you realize that you got to work on something. Like you realize you have to improve your conditioning, so you're going to do extra work. And I think a lot of these kids, like they get so caught up in like what they do well, they forget to work on what they need to improve on. Um, my next question to you is: yes, you were a top 100 kid in like the ESPN, the Rivals, the 24/7s, and that stuff. But just talk about like you were, I think, ranked like 87th, around 90th range. Like, how did that motivate you to become? Because you already talked about it a little bit, like how you think you got snubbed from the McDonald's game, turned it around with the quadruple double. Like, how did that stuff motivate you?
Uh, I was 100. I was 100. My fans and friends heckled ESPN to the point where they put me at 100. But like even then, I didn't want it. I was like, you're just doing that because everyone is heckling you about, my plays. Like you might as well just don't put me on there because I know there's not 100 players better than me. So it's just one of those things. I was just like that. I think the main person that gave me the most confidence, I don't know if you remember, is Dave Tulloch.
Yep.
The Carolina Challenge
Yep.
was, one of my first accomplishments for somebody to notarize that, like, this kid could be good. So, I never played well in the Carolina Challenge by any means, but I think just those things motivated me to really get better. Just to dominate. I think AAU teams not want me. Like Garner Road didn't want me for a while. My cousin played, and they just never came to try to get me to play. So every time I went to Garner Road, they're like I just try to kill everyone that was there, and it's just I had several different layers of motivation that came through. But I think I stopped paying attention to the rankings, going into my junior year because it was just like it was going to drive me crazy because every time I tried to play up against a guy, I would be so intense that I would get into my teammates because I'm like, I expect perfection from these guys. Like, I'm like, yo, we about to beat this dude. He ranked 30th. Like, I know I'm better than him. And it was just weighing on me too much to where I just stopped paying attention to the rankings and just focusing on myself and becoming the best player, that I could be. And, you know, if I go back and I could tell any of these kids like that are obsessed with these rankings and these, how people are ranking these kids, it's like, trust me, college coaches are going to find you, you know, if you're talented. And at the end of the day, out of all those 99 players that was ranked ahead of me, I can probably count on my two hands of how many of them are in the league today or at the position that I'm in life with my career. And, you know, I just kept my head down, kept working, and just, you know, just focused on the things that mattered and making sure that I was always, you know, at the best, being the best Gary I can be, rather than what ESPN or, you know, these other rankings rank me at.
No, that's awesome. The one thing that kind of stood out to me, what you're saying, is you're trying to be the best Gary that you can be. Like, your competition every day is yourself. Like, you got to get better every day. Like, you can't worry about what another person says. I just read something this morning. Like, you got to control the controllables in your life. You can control your attitude, you control the way you work and your work ethic. Going off to college from North Carolina, how hard was it leaving small town Clayton, leaving your mom? How hard was that?
Oh, that's probably one of the hardest decisions ever. You know, just the whole process of recruiting. Again, I didn't have anybody to lean on. I was the man of the house. I have two sisters and a little brother, you know, and it's me and my mom trying to make things work, you know, getting things paid. And, you know, so I'm like, I don't have no intentions on going anywhere over there 3 hours away from home, so I could be able to get back and forth to home. So, you know, I had aspirations to go to Clemson. I had aspirations to go to Wake Forest. Where else? Virginia Tech. Everywhere within like a 4-hour drive, I was trying to like stay home. And, you know, of course I wanted to go to NC State, but, you know, with Sidney Lowe, when he left and then Godfrey got the job, the recruitment kind of like fell off. So, you know, I kind of gave them a timetable to when they was going to offer me. They didn't offer me until going into my senior year, when, you know, at this point I was already, you know, kind of locked in, dialed in a little bit, but I had to like give them a timetable because I felt like they was trying to treat me as if like he's a local kid that wants to go here, he's just going to commit. And Cincinnati was nowhere on my radar at all. Like, I had no, I was not going that far from home. And they had me come on an official visit. I loved it. You know, coaches was very honest with me. And I was like, look, Mom, this is where I'm going to come. And up until that day that they dropped me off, like, that was like, even the drive up there was like by far the hardest thing I had to do, to leave my whole family, you know, really my mom and my siblings, you know, behind. But by far the best decision I made, because I don't know where I would be if I didn't go through all the hard times in Cincinnati, 8 hours away from anyone that knows me.
And then plus, I mean, it was definitely the right decision. I mean, it ended up working out for you, ended up working out for Cincinnati. You had a heck of a career there. You were AAC Player of the Year. I mean, I think 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Got beat by my Butler Bulldogs a few times. But
nah.
I just kidding.
I think both of them buzzer beaters, to be honest.
No, I know. The one up there was a buzzer beater. But, you know, my last question to you is, what is your one piece of advice for every kid growing up in North Carolina or growing up in just the whole world to reach their dreams of playing in the NBA?
For me, I think I can't believing in yourself is like you said earlier, it's you against yourself, you against you. But I think the beginning of that is just believing in yourself. Even if you're not the best at your position or on your team, I think knowing yourself and believing in yourself is just the biggest step into like chasing your dreams or aspirations, whatever you have in life. If you don't believe that you can be there, nobody else is going to believe it either. And, you know, I had a hard time with that, you know, throughout Cincinnati, is believing in myself to like, who cares what everyone else believes or thinks? Like, I'm going to just believe in GC, and like, whatever happens, happens. You know, maybe I'm a lunatic and just I'm way over my head, but like, I have to believe in myself and see what happens. Because if I fall to what everyone else thinks of me, I'll I'll fall short of all my dreams and desires to be where I want to be. And I think that's the biggest thing that annoys me to this day is that I go on social media, and you just see all these different people that try to speak on kids' talent and different things like, or where these kids are, who's better than who, or all these different little podcasts and stuff like that. And that's great, if you want something to do, but like, I just be positive and push these kids to like be better, to work hard and, give them stories on the people they've been in touch with. Like if like people that's been in touch with me, that like give them different drive to like be able to get to their dreams. Like I've just never been a believer, like, cause it used to always bother me how people would speak about me and how, oh, he's not that good. He's not going to be able to play well at Cincinnati. He's, I heard it all from people on social media talking about sports. And like, you played at, some of the top levels, that these guys have no idea what they're talking about. They're just sitting behind a computer. That's why honestly I did this with you, because I'm like, okay, I can talk to someone that's, been through the trenches and, played at the high levels, rather than other people that just are just sitting behind a computer screen or a TV screen watching these, highlights and all this other stuff and don't know the deep ins and out of what it goes through to be a college athlete, what it goes like to be, so much pressure being a high school top talent and, leaving your family. Like it's so much stuff that goes into this basketball world that those people don't understand, but yet they have so much power on these young people's minds of their beliefs and how to get to where they want to be. So I don't even entertain a lot of those people. Like, and I'm like they all like try to like get me to retweet stuff. I don't acknowledge any of them, Tyler, because I'm just like, I don't want to give any of these young kids another outlet to be focused on, to have these people voice a like opinionate, like be opinionated to their hopes and dreams. So, that's my biggest thing is just believe in yourself and stay away from these people that don't know nothing they're talking about.
Yep. No, it's a lot of people don't understand the amount of hard work and the trenches that you got to go through to get to where you're at right now. Like they never experienced it. So, and I can't speak on your behalf because I never experienced the league at all. So, but I'm excited that you joined us today, man. It's been a privilege, and just thanks so much for joining us, and can't wait to get this out here. There's so many great points that you hit on throughout this whole thing of just a small kid from Clayton, North Carolina can end up in NBA and just following their dreams and the stuff that, being the man of the house since you were little, and the stuff that you've been through, adversity hits and going to Cincinnati and all that stuff. It's just major respect to you and your family, and just where you're at today is truly incredible.
No, I appreciate you, man. I honestly do. I thank you for taking the time, to talk to me, and hopefully this can impact some young kids that are, back home trying to chase the same dreams.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for joining us, man. It's been a pleasure.
Of course, bro. Tell everyone I said hello back home.
I will.